I hope that you're well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 4 English lesson on adjectives that compare. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once you've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English language arts. We're doing grade 4, and then we're going to scroll down up until we get to our chapter of adjectives that compare. All right, so our chapter is adjectives that compare. Our chapter is adjectives that compare. Our subject is English language arts. We're doing grade 4. And the lessons that we are going to be focusing on under the chapter of adjectives that compare it is to use adjectives to compare, and it is to spell adjectives that compare. So we're going to use adjectives to compare, and we're going to spell adjectives that compare. All right, so when it comes to adjectives that compare, before we even come to the comparing part, right? Before we even compare adjectives, an adjective, right? It describes or it tells us about the noun. So an adjective, it tells us more about the noun, or we can say it describes the noun. And remember, a noun, right? It tells us about people, it tells about places, and it tells about things. So when it comes to, so if an adjective, if it tells us or describes more about the noun, then we can then say that we can use some adjectives to compare or to describe people, places, or things. But now, since we are comparing adjectives, we use the adjectives to compare people, just nouns. We compare places, we compare things, we compare animals. So when it comes to comparing adjectives, right, or adjectives that compare, we have comparative adjectives, comparative adjectives, and then we have superlative adjectives. So we have comparative adjectives and we have superlative adjectives. So when it comes to comparative adjectives, right? A comparative adjective, it compares two people, it compares two places, it compares two things. So let's say, for example, you and your friend is standing next to each other, and we now need to check who is taller or who is shorter. So basically, you and your friend is standing next to each other, and we now need to check who is either taller or who is shorter. So if we need to compare who is shorter or taller, right? Or let's say your sister in this case, then we can say he is taller than his sister. We are comparing his length or his height to his sister's. So he is taller than his sister. We are comparing him, or let's say his height, compared to his sister's. And when it comes to us comparing adjectives, right, having a comparative adjective where we compare either to people, to places, or to things, then our comparative adjective it ends in er. Remember, the adjective is the word that describes the noun. So, for example, we say here, look at this one, I'm going to put it here. If we say either he's tall, but now instead of just saying he's tall, if we compare him to somebody, we say he is taller than that person because you're comparing him to, another person. Two people are being compared. So it ends in er, taller. Let's say, for example, someone is smart in class. If someone is smart, but now I'm comparing him to another one that is smart, then I can say he is smart, but she is smarter. So if we are comparing, like we say with comparative adjectives, it means that we are comparing two people, we're comparing two places, we are comparing two things. And here we made an example. It's either someone is tall, but if you compare that person to another person, then we can say he's tall, he's tall, but his friend is taller. She's smart, but Anna is smarter. All right. These are just a few examples of comparative adjectives. We are comparing two people, two places, or two things. And our comparative adjective ends in er. And then we have our superlative adjective. We have our superlative adjective. And the superlative adjective, it compares more than two people, more than two places, or more than two things. And once we compare either more than two people, two places, or two things, then our superlative adjective ends in est. So the word will end in est, sorry. And if we look at an example of a superlative adjective, right? Let's say, for example, we say that he is tall. So he's tall, but if we compare him to another boy or another girl in class, then we can say he is taller. So Adam is tall. But if we compare Adam to Anna, then Adam is taller. But now, if we want to compare somebody to the rest of the class, for example, which is like more than two people, so Adam is taller than Anna, but Jake is the tallest, meaning that Jake is the tallest. He's taller than everybody in class. Yes. Small, smaller, smallest. We are comparing. So he is the tallest. person in this class. That means that is superlative adjective. We are comparing more than two people. We are comparing more than two places, more than two things. And it ends in est. So well done. Yes, big, bigger, biggest. And if we want to compare another person by saying how smart they are, if we say that Jenna is smart, Jenna is a top student in class and she's smart. But if I compare Jenna to Amy, that's also smart, then we can say Jenna is smart, but Amy is smarter. But if we compare them to the rest of the class, right? And then we can say that Jake is, for example, the smartest. And it ends in EST, smartest. That compares more than two people. Yes. This is hard. Let's say, for example, we're doing math. Now you're doing one sum and you're really saying that this sum is hard. Now you try another sum. And if you compare the other sum to the first sum, then we can say it is harder, meaning that the second sum is harder than the first sum. But now you're doing more sums and you get to the fifth sum, for example, and you're like, oh wow, this is the hardest because you're comparing it to more than two of your questions or sums. So hard, harder, hardest. Well done. All right, so now we're going to aplusstudents.ca and we're going to use adjectives to compare. All right. So now we're going to use some of the adjectives to compare. We're going to basically look at a few examples how we can either use comparative adjectives or superlative adjectives. And once again, we said adjectives it basically it describes a noun, but also when it comes to adjectives, we have adjectives that compare. And we have adjectives that compare people, places, or things. And we said we have a comparative adjective which compares two people or two places or two things. And now, comparative adjectives, if we compare two people, two places, or two things, it ends in er. And we see there are superlative adjectives, it compares more than two people, more than two places, and more than two things. And our superlative adjectives, it ends in est. Yes, so we have slow, slower, slowest, loud, louder, loudest, even dirty, dirtier, dirtiest. All right. Now we need to complete the sentence with the correct form of adjective. It says, my old rain boots are, it is tight, right? So if you say that the boots are tight, but now we need to compare it. Say if we are comparing our old rain boots to the new ones, do we say the rain boots are tightest or do we say it is tighter? Which one is correct? If we are comparing the old rain boots to the new ones, my old rain boots are, do we say tightest than my new ones, or do we say my old rain boots are tighter than my new ones? So when it comes to comparing the old one with the new one, do we say it is tightest or do we say it is tighter? For example, my old rain boots are, do we say it is tightest than the new one? Or do we say my old rain boots are tighter than the new one? Which one is correct? And if we were to select the correct answer, right, then yes, we can say my old rain boots are tighter. Well done. So we say tighter than my new ones. So tighter than my new ones. So well done. Let's go into the next one because we use tighter firstly to compare two things. All right. The next one says Mario hung the bird feeder from the. Do we say from the low branch of the tree, or do we say from the lowest branch of the tree, or do we say from the lower branch of the tree? Which one is correct? Low, lowest, or lower? And if we were to select our correct answer, then yes, we can say Maria hung the bird feeder from the lowest, meaning there's compared to the whole tree and all the branches on the tree. He then hung it on the lowest, well done, branch on the tree. So well done. All right, one more, and then we're going to our test. It says the weather in Florida is usually much, do we say warmer, or it is much warmest than it is in Montana or in Montana? Which one is correct? All right. And if we were to choose the correct one, then we can say it is warmer because they are comparing two states. So we're saying that the weather in Florida is usually much warmer than it is in Montana. So well done. All right, so now we're going to our test where we're either going to use the adjective that's comparing, which is either our comparative adjectives that ends in er and it compares two people, to places, or to things, or we have a superlative adjective, right, which compare more than two people and it ends in est. We need to complete the sentence with the correct form of adjective. We say Kenneth's new flashlight is, do we say brighter than Perry's flashlight? Or do we say it is brightest than Perry's flashlight? Which one is correct? So option one, brighter, or option two, it is brightest than Perry's flashlight. All right, then if we were to choose the correct option, then yes, option one is correct, where we say that Kenneth's new flashlight is brighter than Perry's flashlight. Well done, because we are comparing two things. So well done. All right, we need to say, is Lauren the loudest singer in the whole school? Or do we say, is Lauren the loudest singer in the whole school? The loudest singer or the louder singer? All right, and if we were to select the correct answer, we can say, is Lauren the, well done, the loudest singer in the whole school? Because we are comparing it to the whole school, which is more than two people. Well done. The next one says, the new highway is the, do we say the smoother road in the entire city? Or it is the smoothest road in the entire city? Smoother or smoothest? Which one is correct? All right. And if we were to choose the correct option, we are comparing this new highway to all the other highways in the entire city. So do we say it is the smoother road or the smoothest road? And if we were to choose the correct option, then yes, option two, smoothest, is correct. Well done. All right. And the next one says, Mr. Spencer buys only the freshest vegetables at the farmer's market, or Mr. Spencer buys only the fresher vegetables at the farmer's market. Which one is correct? Fresher or freshest? And if we were to choose the correct option, then we can say the freshest vegetables. Well done. So option one is correct. All right. Now we're going to spell adjectives that compare. We're going to spell the adjectives that compare. It's basically just writing the very same thing, where we are comparing either two people, two places, or two things, which is comparative and it ends in ER, or we have superlative adjectives that compares more than two people, places, or things, and they usually end in EST. All right. So now we're going to our test where we're going to spell adjectives that compare. We're going to spell it. It says we need to complete the sentence with the correct comparative or superlative adjective. All right. It says we waited. Do we say we waited in the long line in the whole store? Or do we say we waited in the longest line in the whole store? Which one is correct? In the long line, option one, or the longest line, option two? So, long line or the longest line? Which one is correct? And if we were to select the correct answer, then yes, we will say we waited in the longest line in the whole store. Because that is superlative adjective, comparing more than two things. The next one says Gina has, do we say straight hair than her older sister does? Or she has straighter hair than her older sister does? Option one, straight hair, or option two, straighter hair? Which one is correct? All right. And if we were to choose the correct answer, then yes, we will say Gina has straighter hair than her older sister does. Now, this is where we are comparing two people, Gina to her older sister's hair. So well done. The next one says Mitchell is. Do we say Mitchell is slow than Alexa at finishing his math homework, or do we say Mitchell is slower than Alexa at finishing his math homework? Slow or slower? And if we were to choose the correct option, then yes, we will say Mitchell is slower than Alexa at finishing his math. Well done. Okay, one last one. The last one. My mom has the straight teeth in our family. Or do we say my mom has the straightest teeth in our family? Which option is correct? Straight or straightest? Straight or straightest? So option one or option two? And if we were to choose the correct option, then yes, we will say my mom has the straightest teeth in our family. Well done, everybody. So this is now the end of our lesson on adjectives that compare. And we said adjectives that compare. We have comparative adjective and we have superlative adjectives. This adjectives that compare, it basically compares people, places, and things. If we have comparative adjective or we use comparative adjectives, then we compare two people, two places, or two things, and it ends in er. If we're comparing more than two people, and then that is our superlative adjective, right? Comparing more than two people, places, or things, and it ends in est. All right, so this is the end of our lesson. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining the class, and I really hope that you're going to have a good day further. So till next time.